think on-field knowledge, and a guy that I think can get into Carson's mind this week as far as tendencies and everything is Jason Kelce. Who's one of the smartest football guys I've ever covered in my life anyway, but
McDonald and McMullen hanging with you on Birds 365. We are joined by our buddy Paul Domowitch, who's broadcasting from a different location. We've had Domo check in from several spots around the Domowitch house.
No, he's been there. Yeah.
Are those a bunch of medals in the background, Domo? Yeah. What the hell you got hanging behind you?
Those are credentials.
Credentials, Jody.
Oh,
everybody's got it.
Lifetime.
Someday I'll hang up mine on.
How many lanyards do you have in your house right now, Domowitch?
Oh God, thousands. I don't.
Now I'm glad, Dama, because my wife. Yeah, why do you keep these? She tells me all the time. Why do you keep them? Why do you keep them? I don't have a good answer for it, but I never throw away any of my credentials.
Yeah, it's funny. I kept them. I just threw in they were in a box, a couple of boxes. Yeah. I never even thought about them. And then I guess last year for my birthday, my daughter came over and
I saw she framed them. Yeah,
she framed a lot, and then the rest she put on the back of my office door, which I took down when I was getting it painted not long ago. But anyway, long story short, yeah. So I don't know why I keep them around.
That's why I said, I use you as an example because you used to have that in the background, the framed credentials. And I told my wife, why don't you frame them for me? She's not doing that.
Yeah, she's not doing it. And I'm a bigger idiot than both you guys. I always throw the credential out, but I saved the lanyard. For whatever reason, like I really need 40 lanyards hanging around in a drawer in my house. I'm going to use 40 lanyards at some point. I take the credential, I throw that out, but I save the
thing. Well, I'm glad, Jetty. You're making me feel better. Yeah, that makes even less sense to me.
You might be able to get as much for them as Beanie Babies. You never know.
Yeah, at some point, you never really know. All right, back to football with the Philadelphia Eagles. The head coach yesterday in his media briefing said they need to stay focused. They've got a quarterback who just drips focus and attention to detail and leadership. We've been down this road before. Eagles, other teams, like to keep everything now focused to our team. But you and I, all three of us have covered the entire National Football League. Should we be worried at all? Because this team is not only 2-0, but they're one of the darlings of the National Football League now. And Jason Kelce seems to think that social media and video depict the way that other players act and get inside their heads and the like. Should we be worried at all about all the hosannas that the Eagles are getting these days?
I don't think so. Like you said, not just Nick, but Hurts, Kelce, people like that, they're going to keep this team focused. They know they've accomplished nothing so far except win their first two games. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. There'll be a letdown along the way. There is for every team, a letdown or two, especially in a long season that's now up to 17 games. So, but no, I don't see it as a concern, especially this week. They're going up against a familiar opponent, both team wise and quarterback wise.
Before we get to Carson, I want to go back to Monday night. If I told you, Damo, before the season, you were going to get 83.9 throwing the football a lot from Jalen Hurts, would you have believed that?
Probably not. I knew I felt his completion percentage was going to go up this year because it was a high priority for him and for the offense. But I didn't expect that against the Vikings. And then you go back and watch the tape, and as Aikman was ranting and raving during the entire game, it was kind of strange what Ed Donatel did.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. That was going to be my follow-up. How much of it was Jalen? How much of it was because Next Gen Stats does those separation statistics, and all the Eagles receivers were way above the mean for separation for an NFL receivers. How much of it was just a terrible game plan from Ed Donatel? How much of it was great play from Jalen Hurts?
I think the first played into it, the terrible game plan. But there were not with regard to Jalen. There weren't a lot of tight windows he needed to throw into.
Yeah,
but he made the right decisions, and he was accurate. What I liked was the few times he got out of the pocket and extended plays. He made some good throws on the run. Again, they were to open receivers, but there seems to be something different about his throwing motion. I don't know what
Tom
it
House,
is.
baby. Adam Tom House. And if that's what Carson did. Carson went out there before 2017, Damo, and he never went out there again. I guarantee Jalen went out there this year. You see the improvement. I guarantee he's going to be back there next year. Whatever happens, he's going to be back there.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the difference between those two players.
His accuracy so far has been impressive. I mean, if you take away, and even in the first game, you throw out all the throwaways he had, the 2 or 3 batted passes. He had a decent completion percentage in that game too. So, but Monday night was in another planet universe.
All right, so the Eagles take on the Commanders with their quarterback being Carson Wentz. Which is a bigger factor this week? The relationship that Carson Wentz had with the guys who are still on the Eagles, who were here when Carson was here, and doesn't it seem like about 4 or 5 years? It's 1 year. Carson's only been gone 1 year, but it seems like a lifetime. There are still many a player on the Eagles who were here when Carson was here, including their current quarterback. Or the fact that they know Carson. They know Carson's tendencies. They know what Carson will do on a given play, facing a certain type of pressure. Which one has a bigger effect in the game? On off-field knowledge or on-field knowledge of Carson Wentz by his teammates that'll be facing him this week?
I think on-field knowledge. And, a guy that I think can get into Carson's mind this week as far as tendencies and everything is Jason Kelce. Who's one of the smartest football guys I've ever covered in my life anyway. But, he's been in that huddle with Carson. He knows his thinking process. If anybody I think is going to be able to help that defense come up with a way of stopping Carson, it could be Kelce.
Well, I want to talk about the defense because and we'll revert to Monday night again before I get more into the Commanders. But Eagles fans, Dama, you've been around them more than most, and blitz, aggression. They got it on Monday night. Mm-hmm. Now, I talked to Fletcher yesterday, and he insisted nothing was different, same scheme. They just executed better. JG's going to talk today. I'm 100% positive he's going to say the same thing. How much different was it, really?
Well, it was different from the fact that they sent extra rushers after a while. The first half they weren't having a whole lot of success against Cousins. He was completing a lot of passes, and then they started sending people 0 blitzes, 5-man. They blitzed. I counted 10 times on Cousins' first 37 passes, which is like 25%, 21%. But it's a lot, and it's a lot more than Gannon has ever blitzed since he got here, and it worked. Cousins was 2 for 10 when they blitzed. Both of his interceptions, two of his 3 interceptions were when they blitzed. So, I'm not exactly sure, what Fletcher means when he says we didn't change much. If you're sending more people after the quarterback, of course you've changed.
Well, he was speaking of what they generally say, and if you're successful on first and second down, or first down more, you can be more aggressive on second and third. They had a lot of second and third longs, but they had a lot of run blitzes as well to try to get in that position. So I do think, if it's 3rd and 2, you're not blitzing. You can, but it's not going to work.
And they did this on first down some, and what Jonathan Gannon does a lot. He does a lot of zone blitzing because he's got Reddick up on the line. They line up 5 people, 2 standing quite a bit. Yeah, and then they'll blitz 4. It's just that you don't know if Reddick's going to drop or be one of the rushers. So. I don't know that they'll blitz as much. They did in the first game, they blitzed, I believe, about 21%, I want to say. So,
yeah, I think it was 24,
yeah.
maybe.
So,
They were
like
13th in the league.
Yeah. So, like you said, Eagles fans tend to over-exaggerate. They want everybody to be Jim Johnson. They did the same thing with Jim Schwartz, who didn't like the blitz a whole lot either. But, I think we're going to see a happy medium here. I mean, he's good, especially there's going to come a day at some point when, Nakobe Dean is actually going to get on the field. And
not coming soon if TJ keeps playing like that. TJ
apparently not.
Yeah.
But, so I think we're going to see, they're going to sprinkle in a fair share of blitzes. It's just not going to be a heavy dose.
Damo, to the first two games, the Eagles' run-pass ratio has been phenomenal. The results say it's phenomenal. Everyone can have their own personal opinion on what the perfect mix is, but you can always evaluate after the fact, and after the fact, it's been great. I know the Eagles didn't put up any points in the second half, but they clicked off the entire clock. They made the plays in the defensive end when they needed to keep the Vikings off the board. I don't know how anyone would second guess what Shane Steichen has dialed up so far, or should we? We're nitpickers at our core, and we'd like to nitpick, but you can't really with the results, can you?
No, it's pretty hard to find holes in what, go right through that.
About the only hole I can find, Damo, is they're not getting 500 yards a game. They're only getting 470 plus. Number one in the NFL offensively.
Damn.
Yeah.
This week's going to be interesting because Washington is first two games. I think they're allowing something like 7 yards a carry. They're not been particularly very good against the run. So do we see more of what we saw last year in this game, or do Nick and Shane Steichen just say, hey, we dictate what we do on the field, not the defense? It'd be interesting.
Well, to quote my old friend Dennis Green, rest his soul, we don't want to crown the Eagles, but Nick Sirianni is now second in the league for Coach of the Year on the betting markets. Jalen Hurts is 10-1 to win MVP. 10-1 ahead of Aaron Rodgers, by the way, Dabo. The only people ahead of him are Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Eagles are 10-1 to win the Super Bowl now. Jody McDonald's got an early bet on it. What did you get the Eagles at, Jody? You got the Eagles Dolphins.
25 and Eagles Dolphins. I'll give you this really quick. I looked it up yesterday because of what happened this weekend. I bet the Eagles against the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. And I bet both sides. I bet the Eagles to beat the Dolphins and the Dolphins to beat the Eagles. 500-1 when I bet it back in August for it to be a Dolphins-Eagles Super Bowl for someone to win. Checked it yesterday, down to 160. If you want to take the Dolphins versus the Eagles and pick the winner, you get 160-1. But that's down from 500. So I've already made a good bet. I may or may not cash it, but it's the way the results have gotten the first couple of weeks, it's been a good bet.
I think Airbnb's got a big spike from the Delaware Valley for early February in Glendale, Damo. How good is this team? Do they have a Super Bowl ceiling?
One benefit they have is they're in the NFC instead of the AFC. There are about 6-7 teams in the AFC that you can including the Dolphins, that you could say, hey, good chance they could be in the Super Bowl in Arizona in February. You look at the NFC right now, you got Tampa Bay and then a cast of others, including the Eagles, who are right now probably at the top of that list, which would put them in the NFC Championship game. They've got an easy schedule that for the first 10 games, it could have them 8-2, even 9-1 if they really continue to play well, and give them a chance at home field advantage in the NFC. So, this is certainly they've got as good a chance as anybody in the NFC right now to make it to Glendale.
There we have it. The great Paul Domowitch on board as well. 10-1 Eagles. Go make that too late now. Can't get value. Can't get value for this team.
Get back to me two torn ACLs from
oh no. Yeah, injuries can derail everything. Barring that.
All right, back to nitpicking. Because of the weird week, Monday Night Football pushes everything back. The Eagles had a walkthrough yesterday, which means they didn't get at all to work on their return game, be it either punt or kick. Britton Covey can't break a tackle and apparently can't break into the parking lot either, that he had to park with the denizens because he didn't have the proper pass to get in for Monday night. We can spend 20 minutes talking about that. But that was one of the downsides. It did nothing on special teams, let alone let a PAT field goal get blocked. Which, yeah, no tongue eye. You got to make that block there, big guy.
Especially when you're getting elevated to block. Noah, come on. Yeah, that's a bad
Quez
look.
did nothing. Kobe did nothing. I know, nitpicking. Sorry, I apologize. But will we see any change in Eagles' return game this week against Washington?
This week, probably not. But, I mean, I think they're going to be this entire season are going to be, scanning practice squads and the waiver wire and looking for somebody that could help them in that regard if things don't change with Kobe.
It is nitpicking. Jody's right, but I can't get off it as well, Damo. I mean, there was only one thing the Vikings did right on Monday night, and that was, and I'm talking about the coaching staff because they came in with a horrible game plan. Rookie coach, now Ed Donatel's been coaching forever. He should be ashamed of himself, but they figured out Quez Watkins can't return a kick to save his life, and they're throwing these mortar kicks down there. And the Eagles had terrible field position because of that the entire game. Now, it didn't matter because Donatel broke out his social distancing coverage plan where you can't get within 5 feet of the receivers. But, if that were a good defense and you're backed up every single time, that's going to come back to haunt you. Why did the Eagles just not put Boston Scott there? Now, he's not going to break anything, but he'll break a tackle. He'll get you to the 25. They're obsessed with Quez Watkins' long speed, and you get it with the touchdown. It's great at receiver. But to be a kickoff returner, you got to break that first tackle. He can't do it. Why don't they see this, Dama?
I don't know, John, but I agree. I mean, field position is one of the most underrated numbers in the in the difference between winning and losing in the league. You look at the Eagles' field position difference between them and their opponent last 2 years. It's not been very good. It's been a negative, a negative number. I don't know why they don't seem to be able to. I think they thought they had a find in Kobe. We haven't seen anything that's indicated that so far. So
great
I don't know,
but he's just he's too small. I mean,
let's see. The trading deadline is later than ever this year. Would they go out and trade for a return guy that could make a difference? I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to keep an eye on that one. All right, Damo, this is a rivalry game. We know the Eagles and the Commanders / football team / Redskins have been playing forever. Last year, Eagles took them down twice, swept the Commanders. Does revenge play any factor here? Does the rivalry is a new quarterback with Washington? Yeah, we know him pretty well, but he's never played with them before. Every year there's roster turnover. Does revenge from a previous season? We know if you lose to a team in season, you got a second game. Sometimes it's tough to beat a team twice in one season. Does last year's results have any impact on this game this week?
I don't think so. I think the biggest thing that's going to make a difference, if there's going to be a difference, is the fact that it's Wentz at quarterback, not because of the familiarity, but because he's a better quarterback than Taylor Heineke. So far in the first 2 games, he's run hot and cold. He's looked very good at times, as he did in the first week. After basically putting him in a hole with 2 interceptions, he saves their bacon with 2 late touchdown passes. Played pretty well last week too. He's throwing the ball well on 3rd down. I mean, it's going to be up to the Eagles defense to force some mistakes from him. Put him in we talked earlier about 3rd and longs. I mean, that's what they need to do with Carson. They can get pressure on him. I mean, this isn't a great this offensive line hasn't done it. When you look at the protection so far in the first 2 games, it's just been so. He's going to probably try to get the ball out quickly. They've got to prevent guys from getting open until they can get some pressure on them. So that's what I think will be the biggest difference on Sunday is the quarterback change, not so much a revenge factor.
Carson said all the right things yesterday, Damo, about Philadelphia, about his time here, about the game. But this is a guy who tends to play hero football against everybody. So I find it hard to believe he's not going to be pushing the envelope and want some kind of, like last week with Jalen Reagor. It got blown out of proportion, but he got asked about revenge coming back to Philadelphia. And he just said, yeah, I guess. Essentially, I'd like to do well, is all he said. And it got blown out of proportion. But Carson's going to want to do well against the Eagles. Yeah. It's human nature. And he tends to press the issue. Do you expect that? He doesn't give up on plays. I think that's one of his fatal flaws on field. Just not giving up on plays that aren't there. Do you expect some of that on Sunday?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he certainly feels he has something to prove. He got benched here, although it's, this was 2 benchings ago. Well, that Indianapolis didn't bench him. They just got rid of him.
Yeah.
But he's the one that forced the issue here as far as, getting traded. But still, I mean, he got benched, and he got benched for the guy that's going to start against him on Sunday. I heard everything he said yesterday about how, him and Jalen got along great, and he hardly ever talked to Jalen. That was a weird season to begin with, because it was the COVID season when they weren't actually, very seldom were they in the same room together or even on the same field, because the virtual thing. But yeah, I mean, this game means more to him than if they were playing week 1 against Jacksonville.
And one thing, I'll give Carson Wentz credit, and then if you guys disagree with me or think I'm wrong, please say so. When he was here, he was never a zero-focus guy. That he had his guy he had to throw the ball to, and even if the play was designed to go elsewhere, he'd always cheat back to the guy he had the most confidence in. He was very tight with Hurts, and he threw the ball to Hurts, and Hurts made a lot of plays. But I never got the feeling that he was forcing the ball to Hurts. Yeah. Early on here with Washington, Samuel has become his favorite receiver. He has targeted him above and beyond everybody else on this football team. And he's shown himself to be a pretty good slot guy. Is that a plus for the Eagles this weekend, that they've got one of the better slot covering cornerbacks in the National Football League, and Samuel might not be able to put up the numbers he has the first couple weeks of the year?
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the numbers, while he's thrown a lot to Samuel, I mean, he's using all of his receivers. I mean, and he's got good ones. I mean, the rookie Dotson, McLaren obviously is terrific. So, I mean, he's got some dangerous weapons, and the Eagles can't afford to make make mistakes against this group. It'll be interesting to see. We talked earlier about, what Gannon might do against them. I mean, is he going to play much press? Is he going to play off coverage? Are they going to blitz a lot? A lot of it's always a cat and mouse game. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Gannon thinks is going to work best against this quarterback and these receivers. But
big injury at P Damo. Follow Paul on Twitter, the 33rd footballteam.com, also JAKIBsports.com here on Fridays. His famed stat package, we love that. I love reading that every week. Chase Roulier, I hope that's how you pronounce his name. It seems French to me, but he's a pretty good center, and he got hurt. And I think the reason Gannon was so aggressive against Minnesota is they have a center that hasn't been able to block anybody since coming out of college as a first-round pick. Good run blocker, but terrible in pass protection. So I give JG a lot of credit. You couldn't do that if Chase was out there, but he's not. So they're going to have a new center. I don't know who they signed. Nick Martin. I don't think they can get him up to speed that quickly. and they have good skill position players. You met Logan Thomas is back. People forgot that he was gone last year. And Curtis Samuel's been injured. All of a sudden, he's back. And you mentioned McLaurin and Dotson. How does JG go about this team? It's a little bit more difficult because they're not so weak in the interior, at least on paper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what they said, I mean, Wentz was sacked, 5 times last week?
Yeah, but that's kind of like Carson running around like a knucklehead. Part of that.
I mean, I think what they need to do this weekend, and I think it's kind of a page from last week, and it's at the foundation of Gannon's philosophy is you don't give up the big play, and that's kind of what they need to do again this week. They need to make Carson, work it down the field, 9-10 play drives, and somewhere along the line he's going to make a mistake because that's been his tendency the last few years. So that's how he does that. I don't know. Will he play off? Give them the they tackled
Scary Terry. Can't let him pop the top, Dama. Are we going to? We're going to be back to Ed Donatel's social distance coveraging rules.
Yeah, I mean, he's only thrown it to Scary Terry 6 times in 2 weeks, and he's thrown it to Samuel 15 times in 2 weeks.
But when he throws it to Scary Terry, it's been scary. What's he averaging per catch, Jody?
Yeah, over 20.
Yeah, scary.
But I kind of like the guy they'll have against him. What's another thing we should give Gannon credit for? More man-to-man than we usually see on the Eagles secondary. We know that it's a zone defensive team overall, but they went man a bunch last week, and Mr. Slay turned that into a couple of turnovers. So I think he'll get his shot at Scary Terry a couple times this week. He's not scaring me. But the Commanders do a little bit. We're going to hold off on our picks till tomorrow, but you're not going to be here with us tomorrow, Damo. And if you want to go ahead and give us a score, you can, but I won't force you to do so. Here's how I'll ask it of you. 5 minutes to go in the game. Will you be nervous? Will you be already writing your column for the Eagle victory? Will you be writing your column for the, we got a little too big for our own britches here at 2-0, went down and laid an egg in Washington? What kind of column are you going to be writing after this one if you were doing a recap column for Eagles Washington week 3?
Well, I never get nervous, Joe.
Yeah.
You are. You're Mr. Ice Water in the veins. I shouldn't have even gone.
No, we just don't care.
Exactly. We just don't care.
Yeah.
I think it'll be still a game in the fourth quarter, but I think they'll pull it out just because that's the way it's going in the NFL this year. I don't think there are going to be a whole lot of routes. So.
Well, there was Monday.
Well, except for Monday night when the Eagles were playing the Vikings.
Yeah.
2 of those in a row on a short week. I think this one goes into the fourth quarter. I think they still win, but I think it's by a touchdown, by 8 points maybe.
All right, let me throw one more thing your way before we let you run, and I'll do this today here, and I'm going to do it on my national shows on CBS, and if I have to do it every show until something happens, so be it. Today is day 28 that there has been no action taken against Aaron Donald for swinging a helmet as a weapon in a practice between the Rams and the Bengals. And it annoys the snot out of me that, and I'm a Goodell defender, always have been, always will be. I think he's got one of the hardest jobs on the planet, and that's why he makes 35, 40 million, whatever it is, his salary is. But he is not used his powers. That I know that he's an employee, but he's got some leeway. You would think that he would have 31 other owners that would go, yeah, go ahead, get the Rams, seeing as they won the Super Bowl, and they're the ones who can actually take action against Aaron Donald. There's been nothing other than flapping of gums. There's been no action taken against Donald. And we also saw the video. He used the helmet as a weapon. How has no action been taken against him? Who should we be mad at? Goodell, the other 31 owners, the Rams themselves, because they could actually take action against Donald. How do we go over 4 weeks now and have no action on that incident?
Well, I don't think it's Goodell. I mean, football-related suspensions, fines right now are in the hands of John Runyon and Troy Vincent, 2 former Eagles. So if you're going to be mad at somebody, it would be my feeling it'd probably be Runyon. I guess. I honestly,
yeah,
Jody,
I can answer this one, Jody. He doesn't have the power under the CBA. It's a loophole. It was a practice. It's not a game. It's not
Right. But doesn't Goodell have the power to twist the arm of the Rams? The
No.
Rams have to take the action. You're right.
Yeah, the Rams have to take the action. I mean, yeah, I guess he could make a phone call, but then that's the Ram. You should be mad at the Rams more than anybody else. It's their
you hold a
responsibility.
grudge, man.
Yeah,
I don't want to get you
it's
mad.
the Rams' responsibility. Now, maybe this incident causes the NFL to try to close that loophole to where they can get power over that. But I don't think there's been enough of an uproar. I agree with you.
That's why I'm going to bring it up on every show that I do, at least nationally. Day, however many, that Aaron Donald's gotten a free pass for using a helmet as a weapon. The NFL, the league where they bend over backwards to prevent concussions because they don't want to be sued for billions of dollars. Did you see him swing that thing? If somebody had their helmet off, he could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
How much action have they taken against him? Squatta. How do you explain that?
CBA. Hey, I'll be the first one to throw Roger under the bus, but it's not his fault. Not his. Can't do anything.
Somebody's got to take an action. Maybe it's Paul Domowitch. Maybe it's Jody McDonald. I don't know. It just annoys the snot out of me. Domo, you never do. Thank you very much for hopping on board. We appreciate it whenever you do. We'll get you back in a couple of weeks. So Eagles are going to be 3-0. Oh, that's right. Domo said earlier, 9-1. First 10 games. That would have included the one loss is not going to be the Commanders this week. That's what you're telling us.
I said 8-2 before the season started. That they,
8-2.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't. They're playing better than I thought they were capable of. So if they stay healthy, 9-1 certainly is doable.
Hey man, this league changes quickly. If Carson beats you and Doug comes in and beats you next week,
nice. Oh my God! Don't say that out loud, McMullen.
We're gonna have to be talking people off the roofs at that point.
Domo, always a pleasure. Thanks, bud. Feel free to